When a blizzard buried his broken dreams, a bankrupt Marine opened his door to strangers, only to find 20 women on motorcycles who'd ride through hell to save him. The night was a frozen shroud, the kind that swallowed sound and left only the whisper of falling snow. The world outside was a blank canvas of white, each flake erasing a piece of reality. In a weathered cabin perched on a lonely ridge in northern Montana, Caleb Holt sat by a struggling fire, its embers barely holding back the cold. His 6-year-old son, Finn, slept on a threadbare couch, curled under a quilt his mother had made before she left them, before the world unraveled. Caleb's hands, calloused from years of wrenching engines, rested on his knees as he stared into the flames. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But the battles he fought now were quieter, heavier. A bankrupt auto shop, a wife gone to addiction, and a son who deserved better than a father drowning in grief. The cabin creaked under the weight of the blizzard. Wind screamed through the gaps in the walls, and the roof sagged, threatening to give way under the snow. Caleb glanced at Finn, ensuring the quilt was snug, then peered out the frost-etched window. The world was gone, buried in white. But then, through the storm, a faint glow pierced the darkness. Headlights. One, then two, then a constellation of them, snaking up the mountain road. The low, guttural roar that followed wasn't the storm. It was engines. Motorcycles, unmistakable even in this chaos. Caleb's heart quickened. He hadn't heard that sound since his shop, Holt's garage, was alive with the hum of bikes and the chatter of customers. He stepped onto the porch, the cold biting through his flannel shirt. Snow stung his face as he squinted into the night. The headlights grew brighter, and out of the blizzard emerged a line of motorcycles, 20, maybe more, cutting through the snow like a blade. Leading them was a figure, tall and unyielding, astride a gleaming black Harley. The bikes stopped in front of the cabin, their engines idling with a deep, steady thrum. The lead rider dismounted, removing her helmet to reveal sharp features and eyes that held both fire and calm. She wore a leather jacket dusted with snow, the patch on her chest reading Iron Sisters. This was Mara Kane, CEO of Kane Cycles, a powerhouse in the motorcycle industry, known for her all-women biker crew that rode for charity, for justice, for second chances. The Iron Sisters were legends, veterans, survivors, mothers, and rebels, who turned their pain into purpose. Mara stepped forward, her boots crunching in the snow. "We need shelter, please," she said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. Behind her, the other women dismounted, their faces weary but resolute, their bikes laden with gear. Caleb hesitated, glancing back at the cabin. The fire was nearly out, the pantry held only a few cans of beans, and the roof leaked in 3 places. But those eyes, Mara's, the others, carried a weight he recognized, the weight of survival. "Come in," he said, opening the door wide. The cabin transformed. The Iron Sisters filled the small space with life, their voices a warm hum against the storm's howl. Wet jackets were hung by the fire, and the women unpacked travel stoves, heating soup and coffee that mingled with the scent of pine and ash. Finn woke, his eyes wide with wonder at the sight of 20 women, their laughter like music. One of them, a wiry veteran named Jess, knelt beside him, offering a sip of hot cocoa from her thermos. Finn's shy smile broke through, the first in weeks. Mara noticed Caleb standing apart, his arms crossed, his gaze distant. She approached, her boots soft on the creaking floor. "You've got that look," she said, "the one that says, 'You've seen too much.'" Caleb met her eyes, then nodded. "Marines, 2 tours. You?" "Army, 1 tour. Enough to know." She paused, glancing at Finn. "He's lucky to have you." Caleb's jaw tightened. "Doesn't feel like it." The night unfolded in stories. The Iron Sisters shared tales of their rides,
cross-country treks to raise money for veterans, shelters they'd built for abused women, communities they lifted from despair. They spoke of scars, both visible and hidden, and of the road that had become their salvation. Caleb listened, his silence a shield, but the warmth of their presence chipped away at it. They patched the cabin's leaks with tarps from their saddlebags, shared their food, and taught Finn how to whistle. For one night, the cabin wasn't a tomb of lost dreams, it was alive. By dawn, the blizzard eased, leaving a world of glittering snow under a pale sky. The Iron Sisters prepared to leave, cleaning the cabin until it shone. Mara lingered on the porch, where Caleb stood staring at the ruins of his old garage, a sagging shed filled with rusted tools and broken dreams. "You built bikes?" she asked, nodding toward the shed. "Used to. Best part of my life. Lost it all when the bank came calling." Mara's eyes narrowed, thoughtful. "Ever think about starting again?" Caleb laughed, a hollow sound. "With what? I've got nothing but deaths and a kid to feed." She didn't answer, just gave him a look that said she wasn't done with him yet. A week later, the rumble returned. Caleb stepped outside, Finn at his side, as the Iron Sisters roared up the drive. Behind them came 2 trucks, their sides emblazoned with Kane Cycles logo. Mara dismounted, holding an envelope. "Open it," she said. Inside were partnership papers and a letter. "You gave us shelter when you had nothing. Now we're giving you a chance." The trucks carried tools, lumber, and motorcycle parts, everything needed to rebuild the garage. The Iron Sisters, joined by local volunteers, worked through the day, transforming the shed into a gleaming workshop. A new sign went up, Finn's Garage. It wasn't just a name. It was a promise. Mara explained her vision. Kane Cycles was launching a program to train and employ struggling veterans, and Caleb would lead it. The garage would restore vintage bikes, with profits funding scholarships for kids like Finn. The Iron Sisters would be partners, bringing in clients and spreading the word. Caleb, who'd forgotten what hope felt like, felt it stir again. Months passed and Finn's Garage became a beacon. Veterans found work there, learning to rebuild engines and themselves. Single parents came to repair their cars, staying for coffee and community. Finn, now 7, ran around with a tiny wrench, fixing things and beaming at the Iron Sisters when they visited. The cabin, once silent, echoed with laughter, the clank of tools, and the roar of engines. A year later, at a Kane Cycles charity rally, Caleb stood on a stage, Mara at his side. Finn, clutching a model motorcycle, watched from the front row. The crowd was a sea of leather and denim, their cheers a wave of warmth. Caleb gripped the microphone, his voice steady but thick with emotion. He said, "I thought the world had given up on me. But it didn't. It sent warriors on wheels, and they brought me back to life." The crowd roared. Mara, ever stoic, let a tear slip. She leaned in and whispered, "You did the same for us." As the event ended, a narrator's voice cut through, warm and resolute. If this story moved you, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tell us where you're watching from. Your support keeps hope alive. And in the comments, answer this: can one act of kindness change a life? Because sometimes all it takes is a storm, a door opened, and a single yes to rewrite everything.